Good morning. I'm Peter Milios from the Finance News Network. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell on Tuesday as rates ticked higher and Wall Street poured through the latest batch of fourth quarter earnings. Investors also awaited more data that can give better glimpse into the state of the American consumer. Several major banks released their quarterly earnings Tuesday morning. Goldman Sachs reported better than expected profit and revenue, driven by a strong performance in equity trading and increased revenue from asset and wealth management. Meanwhile, Morgan Stanley's fourth quarter profit was impacted by $535 million in charges, but the bank's revenue exceeded expectations thanks to a rebound in investment banking fueled by debt underwriting. Shares of Goldman Sachs inched up 0.7%, while Morgan Stanley declined more than 4%. Roughly 30 S&P 500 companies have reported calendar fourth quarter results thus far. Of those, 78% have beaten earnings expectations, according to FactSet. Overall, the Dow declined 0.62%, the S&P 500 slipped 0.37%, and the Nasdaq Composite dropped 0.19%. In further company news, Boeing shares tumbled 7.9% after Wells Fargo downgraded the company to equal weight from overweight amid ongoing troubles with its 737 MAX 9 model. Meanwhile, AMD shares jumped 8.3% following upbeat analyst commentary on semiconductor demand. The chipmaker trying to catch Nvidia in the AI race rose to a new 52-week high and is scheduled to report its quarterly results on January 30. Apple's stock declined following reports of rare iPhone discounts in China due to competitive pressures and the US Supreme Court's decision not to consider Apple's appeal in an antitrust suit challenging its App Store, which is expected to impact the company's revenue significantly. The benchmark 10-year Treasury note yield jumped 12 basis points to 4.071% after Federal Reserve Governor Christopher Waller indicated a speech that the central bank may ease monetary policy slower than Wall Street has anticipated. After these comments, oil prices also dropped as the US dollar strengthened. The West Texas Intermediate futures contract for February decreased by 0.77% to $72.12 a barrel, while the Brent futures contract for March fell by 0.17% to $78.02 a barrel. Investors are also looking ahead to December retail sales data out on Wednesday, which could fuel recessionary fears and concern about economic growth if the US consumer spending sees a cool down. Overall, turning to US sectors, tech was the only performer that closed higher overnight. Energy was the worst performer. Looking ahead to the Australian landscape, the SPI futures are pointing to a 0.1% rise. Thank you for listening.